When you hear the phrase public service, it can sound abstract. Meetings, agendas, policies. But for Councilmember Edgar Garcia, it starts at home. It's mornings getting 3 kids ready for school, then heading straight to work, and in between driving his son Eli, who has Down syndrome, to therapy, speech, and medical appointments. Sometimes during the week, sometimes even on Saturdays. And along the way, Edgar says he's learned something most people never have to think about: how far families in this region often have to travel just to get the services they need, and how many families don't have the flexibility, transportation, or time to do it. In today's episode, we're sitting down with Edgar to talk about family, resilience, and why he and his wife chose Calimesa as the place to build their future. Because the story behind a public servant is often the key to understanding how they lead.
Welcome to the Calimesa Insider Podcast, the official podcast of the City of Calimesa. Join City Manager Will Colbo as he takes you behind the scenes of city projects, community stories, and the future of our hometown. Stay informed, stay connected. This is the Calimesa Insider Podcast.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Calimesa Insider Podcast. As always, this podcast is designed to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how your city works, the people who serve this community, and the stories that shape Calimesa. Today's episode is part of an ongoing effort to help residents get to know the individuals who serve on the Calimesa City Council, not in a political sense and not in a campaign context, but as people, as public servants, and as members of this community. My guest today is Councilmember Edgar Garcia, and we're going to spend some time talking about his background, his family, why he chose to make Calimesa his home, and how his personal and professional experiences shape the way he approaches public service. Edgar, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you all for having me here.
So you've shared publicly that you are a husband and a father of 3. And like many families in Calimesa, you're juggling work, school, and family life all at the same time. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about your family and what day-to-day life looks like for you here in Calimesa?
Yeah, sure. Well, so one of the things, you start off in the morning, get the kids ready for school, drop them off, and then head to work right afterwards, and taking my son Eli to his appointments, his medical appointments, his therapy, speech, and his other routine appointments that he needs. He's actually the one that has Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And that's all during the week. We just added one on Saturday just because we want him to be successful, because we're not guaranteed to be here forever. We want him to be independent once we're not here. And the other activities that goes with the family, with the kids, taking my son to his guitar music, trying to build his music as well too. My daughter, she's 3 at the moment, but we're trying to add more activities for her too. She's can be a great leader. She likes to boss people around. So we're going to mold her to be a great leader. We might put her into gymnastics.
Okay.
Do that. And then of course my wife, same thing, trying to balance everything out, trying to find a time to go out as a couple, because right now we have a lot on our plate. It's not easy to have a family member or even your own children with somebody who has some type of disability, because it's very challenging for any parent out there.
Right.
But yeah, that's my everyday routine. And then of course, work with supporting our students, our families, at our school district. We support services and provide education for the city of Beaumont, some boundaries at the batting area, and the city of Calimesa as well too. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I took the responsibility of becoming a council member, and looking at the agendas, making sure that we're always communicating for our citizens' voices, to make sure that we're supporting our community.
Right. And you have spoken openly about your child that has Down syndrome, and that's that experience is a big part of your story. How has being a parent to a child with a disability shaped the way you see the community and support systems?
Well, one of the things, if I say it's great to have a child with disabilities, I'll be lying. It's challenging. it's rewarding in a way that it kind of makes you realize the perspective of other things, of like the lack of resources that other people don't really think about. And I have now the lens of a family that the resources that we need, we don't have anything close by, even driving distance. We have to drive 30, 40 minutes and even hours away for certain services that any child with disabilities will need, depending on the services that certain hospitals or certain clinics have, and providing, especially it kind of over depending on their insurances as well too. So that's the type of lens that I was able to kind of like zone in now. I had always had the lens of kind of thinking of working in the medical field, providing the services for anyone, for seniors, for adults and kids, down to the moms too. And now, kind of being out of the health field and going into the education field, I kind of took that perspective of how to triage, the emergencies that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the education field that I'm doing at Beaumont Unified, we take care of a lot of the attendance of it. So, we try to see what we need to provide services to our families. And that's when I realized that we have a lot of resources that we need in this side of the region of Riverside County. All other services are more in downtown Riverside, very far away from our parents. They have to drive far. Sometimes they don't have transportation. So, of course, they're not able to provide those services to kids. Fortunately, I've been blessed to, work for an employer for Beaumont Unified that they're flexible on taking my son to his appointments, and I'll be able to just, if I need something, an emergency, I can just get off from work and then pick up my son, because we're like 5 minutes away from work and to his school. But a lot of parents don't have that luxury. And that's the way I see. I see it as a whole, trying to provide services and the support as a community, not only for like families with disabilities, everyone as a whole, for seniors and our residents within our city, and not even within our city, but for our Banning, Beaumont, and Chucaiba, because we're neighboring cities as well too.
Right.
And yeah, it's challenging. It's not an easy road. I understand why a lot of families give up on that long journey, because it's a lot of work. It's a commitment that they have to provide to their kids, and I see it every day. And it hurts me in a way, because I know the potential that these kids have, and sometimes they're single parents, and you see it a little bit of both ends. I can't speak in behalf of them, but I kind of understand where they're coming from, because I am in that road as well too. And that's one of the reasons why I said, we're lacking resources. Let's see what I can do instead of being in the sidelines. Let me just try to figure out and see how we can do to bring those services within our own city.
Right. So, a lot of people do focus in on the challenges when they hear about that. And, obviously you've talked about those challenges, but what has that journey taught you about patience, resilience, and showing up for others?
So my dad teach me in a very young age to provide back to the community. I remember my dad advocating for us as we were kids. I didn't come from a middle class. We came from a first generation in the roughest area of Long Beach, Huntington Park, and LA. So I understand the challenges a lot of families go through. And my dad used to always say, give back to the community one way or another. People might not see it, people won't see it, but at the end of the day, the smallest things that you'll do will make a big impact in our community. So I remember when I was attending Long Beach Unified School District, my parents didn't have enough money to buy uniforms. So they advocated for not only for ourselves, but my dad and my mom advocated for for the whole community, because we weren't the only family members that were struggling for uniforms. And they were successful of providing uniforms for all the kids with low income and brand new shoes. I come from a family of 4, so during that time it was very expensive. So for me, I take that from the very deep bottom of my heart by providing, trying to do my best to provide those services and resources that I'm able to provide. Now that I work at Kaiser, I kind of focused on, providing services in a different way in the medical field. And then I have a different lens now during the educational portion of it, of seeing the other services that the community needs by outreaching to the Riverside County of Education, to other partners that they're able to provide services for our students and our families. So that of having a better understanding of what's out there, of what we can do to support our community within our own city and within our neighboring cities, that kind of made me learn and open my lenses of what's out there. And because, I mentioned it before, one person can't do anything. It takes a team to lead and to be successful. And that's, I believe that's what made me become an advocate, especially for my son too. There's a lot of things too that comes with it. Advocating for my own son. There's not a lot of advocates out there for families with disabilities. So I had to teach myself and learn how to advocate for not only for my son, but for myself as well too. And school, the University of Redlands has built that other layer of the education portion of how to become a better leader. We might cover it later, but anybody can be a boss, but there's a few people out there that can be a very successful leader, and how to lead a good team to be successful. But yeah, that's something that I have kind of built. It hasn't been an easy journey. It's just more of the hands-on experience, the difficulties going up and down on our own journey within our lives, and kind of learning from other people as well too, mentors, and just kind of pushing everybody, just keep on going. You're almost at the finish line, even though you see that you might not make it, you're in those difficult positions, but at the end of the day, there's always there's a light in the end of the tunnel.
Right. So you've lived in Riverside County now for many years before moving here. I like to talk about Calimesa specifically. Why did you and your family choose Calimesa as the place to live and raise your kids?
So Calimesa actually kind of popped up by surprise. We were searching for a home, me and my wife. At that time, I had my oldest. He's 7 now, but at that time he was around 2, and we were looking for a house to build the future for our family and for ourselves, in a good neighborhood, in a good city. And we were just driving around. We were looking around Moreno Valley, Riverside, Chucaipa, and then one. I remember this real estate agent told us, "Hey, you guys should go check out Calimesa." And at first I thought Calimesa was up north.
Oh,
I never heard the city of Calimesa before. It's like, oh wow, that's gonna be far. But they said, oh, it's a beautiful city. And I looked it up on the map, and I said, what? It's actually not that far away. It's just over the hill of Moreno Valley. So I told my wife, you know what? Let's go take a drive over there. And when we came through the backside of the canyon, and then we entered Beaumont, I'm like, oh, this reminds me, like, the area is all the way by Oceanside, the trees, it's nice and beautiful. And then we entered Calimesa, and I just saw the beautiful hills, the beautiful nature, the potential of the community, the city that was going to come along with within our city. And I told myself, like, I see my family here. It looks safe. It looks like it's a small city, but you can tell that everybody is family orientated. And I told my wife, you know what, let's go for it. And my wife didn't want to buy a new house. She's like, no, it's a new build. It's not, we don't want to do it. I said, no, let's go for it. My wife told me, well, you better pick up some overtime. So I ended up picking up overtime while I was at Kaiser. I ended up, I said, you know what? Well, I can't do overtime. There was no overtime for my role. So I said, you know what? Let me go back to the school district in Moreno Valley, and I'll pick up a few shifts, and then whatever I pick up, I will save it for more of a down payment. And we were going to buy a smaller home, but I told myself and I told my wife, we're barely starting a family. Let's think long term. Like how many kids do we really want? And we wanted 4, but we ended up having 3.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Okay, let's go for it. Let's go for the bigger house, more rooms, because me growing up, we only had 2 rooms, and we used to fight as within our siblings.
Right.
And it's the hate and love relationship with brothers and sisters. So we went up for it, and we bought our new home. And everybody coming along with our neighborhood, our neighbors were very friendly, family orientated. And the other side of the community too, everybody was friendly. Got the little downtown area looked very, very nice, unique. You can tell, it still has heart for families. And then we were going to build a brand new school. So this is the place where kids are going to be coming to the school. And we just visioned it, thought about it long term, and yeah, that's how we came to Calimesa.
When you first moved here, you've kind of touched upon this already, but what really stood out about the community?
One of the things that stood out from the community was the beautiful hills, the landscaping, the homes in the north side of the 10 freeway. It was just like, oh wow, like this is a city that I see myself being here, being part of the community, and then we were comparing prices, and the prices were just like, it's too good to be true. So, and that's how we ended up buying in the south side of Calimesa on this at Summer One community, and it was just more the nature. The surrounding areas. We have that $1 million view that no one's going to take when it's winter, when there's snow in those hills, in those mountains. That's the first thing you see. You're able to see the fields when it's green, when it's raining, and then when it's summer, you can see the transition from winter to summer to spring, and that's something that you cannot find anywhere else. Everywhere else it's already populated, it's already developed, and here is it's like a fresh start. It's the fresh start where the great minds can come together and develop a city that will sustain and will look beautiful forever.
Right. So you've lived and worked in other cities. How would you describe what makes Calimesa different, especially from a family perspective?
Family perspective is it's the landscaping, the trails, the parks, the community. It's family orientated. Compared to where I worked I worked at the San Bernardino County region for Kaiser, so I was in all different types of areas and neighborhoods, and from well-developed cities to the commercial areas and things that families don't want to be at, or where families want to be at. And here we have it. We have something that no other city has. It's like the perfect little space. It's like the little hidden jewel within our community that you'll miss it if you're passing by. And it's unique. It's unique compared to any city out there. And that's what it's priceless. No one can take that away from any other city. And it's so family orientated that you're able to take walks,
Mm-hmm.
and or go out for to go exercise. You can go out there in the middle of the night and you can still feel safe. all the way down to the morning. Of course, you're going to run into coyotes and stuff, but
Right.
but that's part of nature, and it's beautiful when you're living in a city like that.
Right. Was there a moment when you realized you didn't want to just live here, but you wanted to serve the community in more of a more direct way?
Yes. Like going back to what I was saying earlier about providing back to to our community. It was just something that I learned that it was my passion. I actually was going through my emails, and I actually found an application that I submitted when I had just recently moved in here for a council member. I can't remember what happened during that time, but it looks like there was like some city probably posted something up, and I applied for it. And I was like, oh wow, like totally forgot about this. I was like, I submitted to run for council member, but I remember during that time, that's when we got news about my son, and I didn't proceed with it. And now that my son is in a good place where I'm able to do a little bit more, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go full blast. I'm gonna go all the way in. I don't. If I make it, I'll make it. I know. I'm not sure if you know, but I funded myself. If I invested on myself. I say I'm going to put this much on myself, and if the community wants to see change, then I'll bring that change. I'm their voice, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed to serve our community, to be part of the community, of the team within the city of Calimesa, and having a great leader like yourself, Will.
Thank you.
And it means a lot. It means a lot that people put a lot of faith on somebody, and then you just have to take the lead and advocate for everybody else. And of course, it's not easy,
Right.
and
Yep.
it's challenging and stuff, but it's something that we have to do. If you really want to advocate and be part of a community.
Right. So a big part of your career involves working with families and students, particularly through your work with the school district. You've seen firsthand that students' success is often about much more than what happens in the classroom, right? What patterns did you see that kept students from being successful?
One of the biggest things that I saw was there was a lot of barriers that I noticed within the year. I transitioned from medical to education. I did a whole 360. So for me, that was like, okay, I need to find what's the barriers. By removing those barriers, that's when you're able to help and bring support to the schools, to the administrators, and to the team. And one of the biggest things that I saw was going back, the lack of resources, but not having the right resource. When I say resources, is by having the information from food banks, what kind of medical resources are out there for the families depending on their needs, down to are there any shelters out there for families that are homeless, and down to like for the haircut places as well too, and shoes. And one of the biggest things that I noticed was there was a lack of communication within families and the sites. So for me, communication is very important. If the families are not aware of what's out there, they're not going to know. And the family members are like their second person of contact at their schools, because their kids go to school there. They build relationships within within the teachers, within the admins, and the first person that they see is the person in the front desk. And so what I noticed was that very important concept was missing. And so I was doing my runs through every single school, trying to make sure that we built that relationship within our families, to informing them what's out there, and educating the educational law for attendance, and the procedures of it that goes with it, which is the school policies down to the legal portion of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And of course is revamping the structure within the Department of Attendance. And I said all the time, it's like it wasn't me, it was the team. The team is the one that made everything successful. By providing them with the tools, with the resources that they need at the sites, they were the ones that did all the hard work, and all the labor behind it. And of course, for me, my leadership supported me as well too, and so that's why we were able to be successful on finding what it was to find those barriers of what's been happening, and I'm happy that we were able to drop chronic absenteeism by 20%. We're compared to other districts. We're close to Riverside County, to their unit, by the Riverside Unified School District. And Riverside Unified School District, they have a team out there, and we're a small team, but we're a mighty team. So that's for me, it's just finding what we're missing, providing those support and services to not only to the families, but for the team members, for our team, and for our school sites. So now that we have all that in place, parents feel more connected, they feel a little bit more comfortable reaching out for support by school supplies or transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the first things that I ask parents, is there anything else that you guys need to remove any barriers that I know sometimes we're shy to ask, and that's the reason why we're here. We're here to support you guys on what we can do. And then if I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you with an answer.
Right. What lessons from that experience carry over into your role as a council member, especially when working with families who may feel overwhelmed or unheard?
It's listening. One of the biggest things that I will suggest is listen to the family members, listen to the staff, and then just understand that those challenges are out there, and then as a leader, one of the roles is to find solutions for those things to improve either the systems in place or to improve the living of the city or anything related to support and services. Is that it's just, for me, it's just more listening and understanding where they come from. And of course you can never answer everybody's questions, but just kind of having that mindset of just listening and understanding, is it something that it's an easy fix, and we're probably looking at it at a different angle, and we might just have to readjust our the structure to improve something that doesn't need a lot of change.
Right. You've also spoken about losing your father to cancer and how walking through that experience with him changed you. How did that loss shape the way you think about access to care and support for families?
Hopefully I don't get emotional, Will.
I understand. Yes.
And hopefully I don't choke up. It's been hard. It's one of those things people say you'll get over with time. You'll never get over on the passing of any loved ones. You will never outgrow it as well too. You'll learn how to live with it. And as the years has passed, I just been able to learn with it. But it hits me out of nowhere sometimes. And during that time with my dad, when I found out that my dad had cancer, my dad spoke, Spanish, but he kind of understood English as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was at the, I was at the medical, I was working for Kaiser, and I don't know why it never clicked, the oncology department. It just didn't click. Maybe because I was so familiar with all these departments that I just thought I was going to go to work. I was just passing by that unit. So when my dad got scheduled, it just didn't click to me. Like, wait a minute, this is the cancer department. Until I actually sat down with my dad in the room, and that's when I started to say, wait, we're here at this department inside this room. This is not good news. If we're here, they're not going to give my dad good news. And I was actually his translator. So if I would have done it over again, I would have requested a translator, because I was the one that actually ended up telling my dad that he had cancer.
Oh, wow.
So that was hard for me.
Yeah.
And I just technically had to tell my dad that he was dying. So I saw his reflection of being a happy individual, happy person, down to I felt like I took his light away. That I saw that reflection, his light just turned off, saying like, what? I'm going to die. And I had to be tough at the same time for my dad, because he's, the old school fathers and mothers are tough.
Right.
And I had to tell him that he had cancer. He had kidney cancer, the size of a baby. And
wow.
And he was the chief doctor. He was the chief surgeon for the Riverside region. And he said, we need to schedule surgery right away. And everything happened so fast that I was dealing with that, scheduling, translating, and his scheduled surgery was scheduled the following week. And the doctor said, your dad technically provided like we were doing a labor procedure. The cancer was the size of a baby, and I knew right away that when we have cancer, it's either you're expanding your lifespan or it's going to take you right away. And it's one of those things that you just know that it's a something you do not wish upon anybody. It's a very aggressive way to die. And I saw my dad going from a very healthy individual person. I seen him as my Superman, tough. Nothing's gonna break him, down to all the way down to the bone. That was something that I will never forget. And it's hard. It's hard for anyone out there. And my dad was older, he was so young but older. But I could just imagine the kids going through all that stuff. Adults, young teens going through any type of treatments like that. And during that time, we got news that my son was diagnosed with Down syndrome. So I was battling two things at once, and it was very difficult. It was one of those things that I had to be in two places at once. I had to be there for my wife, and being there for my dad as well too. That I still feel it that I wasn't there 100% for my wife because I was dealing with my dad. I became his caregiver, and I still feel like I was in there 100% for my wife when she was going to those doctor's appointments for the genetics department. I think I went into a shock mode that I didn't want nothing to destroy me emotionally. So I kind of put a guard up.
Yeah.
And, so it was a very challenging time. The commute, taking my dad to Riverside, my wife commuting far to Riverside, to Fontana, because these are specialty clinics, that they specialize in certain things. Those departments are not close by. And I remember, in the month of December, I had to take my dad to urgent care, and the closest urgent care was in Riverside, and he wasn't able to walk. So I had to carry him. And one of the things that I remember is, and I'm like, wow, we're born without walking. Our parents carry us as babies, and I'm carrying my dad with this, and it was an honor for me to be there for my dad, to support him with that, and not have a stranger taking care of my dad. At least I know that he was in good hands. And anyone will do anything for their family. And I remember just me carrying him, picking him up from this wheelchair down to the car, off in the car to the wheelchair. And I saw the reaction of the doctor when they saw my dad. And I seen it all the time at the hospital. And I just saw the reaction, like, how is he still alive? He's not supposed to be alive. Like, how is he still alive? And the doctor said, you know what? It's better for your dad to go back home. Like, if he stays here, it's just gonna, this is not the way that he will want to go. It's just better to go back home. And so I knew it was like, well, it's coming. So yeah, we came back home. I told my dad, just, feel comfortable. Hospice came. When we go into hospice, it's those things that you already know that the end of life is coming. And, but it was good that my dad was in hospice more than 2 days. The hospice came in that night, and then the following day, my dad passed away, because it was just more into life support than anything else.
Right.
And I remember, my dad, I was at work, and I was in Fontana, and my brother-in-law called me and saying, "Hey, I don't think your dad's not gonna be able to make it. I think you need to come home." And I said, "Okay, I'm heading over there right now." So I got there, just talking to my dad, and went to sleep in the morning, and then they woke me up. My mom woke me up saying, "Hey, your dad is calling you." And I got up, spoke to my dad, and I knew it right away. I gave the last shot of the morphine, based on the description that they told me to give, and I told my dad. I looked down in the eyes. I told him, just tell him it's okay to give up. This is a long journey. You did everything possible. It's okay to let go. And he just looked at me and he smiled, and I told him, like, don't worry, mom and us will be okay. Don't worry about anything. I know that's part of what you're holding up, that you're worried what's going to happen. I told my dad, like, don't worry about it. I'm here. We'll figure things out. I just want you to know it's okay. And last time I knew is he opened his eyes. It looked like he saw something beautiful, and he passed away. He passed away in my arms, and it's one of the things that I still remember.
Yeah,
and
that'll live with you forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's and yeah, that's everything happened so quick, and then what comes with it too. The timing, the scheduling of the burials and everything. It was during COVID, so they extended the time frame. We buried my dad in the month of February. He passed away on January 9th, and we didn't bury him until February. And fortunately, that's the month of my birthday, so I don't see my birthday the same no more. And then just me organizing everything as well too, and then dealing with as well with of what comes with it, with the burials and everything, and then as well supporting my wife during pregnancy as well too, being there emotionally. So like people say like, oh yeah, grieving for me is like I don't even feel like I have grieving everything. There's 7 steps of grieving, I'm so grieving my dad, and I'm grieving my son, even though he's alive, because there's different types of grieving. That's the grieving when somebody passes away, the grieving of somebody being alive and they're sick, and then the grieving when your kids leave home because you're so used to having them around, and then now, they're doing their lives. So it's a different type of grievings. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I noticed, that we need the resources close by, because people don't realize, I guess, at that moment, because everything's going perfectly fine. We don't need to go to the doctors. We don't need to go get checked up on anything. That I'm able to commute 30, 40 minutes away if anything happens. But people don't realize that there's other people, residents, family members that are actually going through it. And for me, it's like, if we can have that here, it'll make life easier for everyone here in the community, even within our surrounding areas or from the cities. And instead of commuting, like for my son, we ended up going to LA for surgery at the Children's Hospital, and traffic, it is not pretty.
Yeah.
We're doing rush hour. And then just kind of trying to organize everything for my little one, say, all right, we have to have the little ones, who's going to take care of them while we're out there doing my son's appointments, her surgeries. And, my son has already had multiple surgeries, and it's difficult. It's a lot of, it takes a lot and a lot of energy away as well too, when you're trying to balance everything at once and just giving that smile like nothing is happening. And that's one of my colleagues at work. She tells me, like, you're always smiling, you're always in a good mood, but then you have all these things happening and you don't even show it. Until one of the things that I learned is, with my dad and reading it from the Bible script, reading it from the Bible as well too, is don't let anybody know what's going on. Just always go in with a positive attitude, smile, because sometimes, if you think you have it hard, somebody else is going through a harder time than you. And sometimes you just wish you're like, well, I don't want to have this hard life, but
right. Yeah.
And people don't understand when they tell you, well, God gave you that because you're strong. Like, but I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want that. And I guess those are the things that people don't realize, that, like for me, I don't want to hear it, like it's more of like we're going through it. We're somehow we're managing it. Honestly, I don't even know how I'm doing it. I just know it's the strength of God. His hand is guiding us, and my family as well too. And the people that, the people that comes in our lives too, there's a reason why they come in our lives. And so, yeah, that's a reason I saw the lack of resources within our community, and I'm happy. I envision something like that hopefully coming to the city of Calimesa, not only for services, but for great paying jobs. And the parents and family members don't even have to commute far.
Right.
They could live within the city and work within the city and pick up their kids, 5-10 minutes away from work if an emergency happens, and at the same time you're getting great healthcare all in one. That's like what city does not want that, and what community members don't want that. It's
right.
It's a gold mine, and we're in a good position for that. It's just we're able to, of course we can't bring in the healthcare because we don't, our business is not healthcare, but we're able to make the rules for our land use,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that that we're able to do with the support of you, Will, and the team, from the departments here with Kelly and everybody else that are able to put their great mindsets together and make the magic happen.
Right.
And of course, it's not easy either. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of work, a lot of great leaders to envision something like that, to make it happen.
Right. So, kind of on the flip side of that a little bit, when people hear the term healthcare access, right, they often will think it's too big or too far removed from local government. But, you've kind of have shared this. So What does access to care realistically mean at the local level? You've talked about a little bit about zoning. How do you envision that?
I envision it more of a healthcare accessible for everyone, from kids to teenagers to adults to seniors. Like a one-stop place, from having a healthcare, from having down from the basics of medical appointments, seeing your primary doctor, the pediatrics, down to walking to the pharmacy, and everything's all accessible there, with getting glasses. And by seeing all that, and by, if you need to go to the ER, instead of going to the ER, you could go to urgent care. You don't have to wait to be seen at urgent care or book to get scheduled for an urgent care. Urgent care should be walk-ins, not for you to schedule a booking to get seen by an urgent care doctor. And then for the ER, it's more of the emergency stuff, and down to surgeries, down to the trauma centers. Having all that built into a healthcare within the government level is that we are able to provide those services to our community instead of them going elsewhere, or all being provided those resources within our community. We're able to provide easy access to our residents here in Calimesa and our neighboring cities as well too.
Yeah, the whole past region.
Oh,
right,
yes.
Right.
And we're in a prime location. The freeways here, the 16 to 10 are not that far away, like being connected. We have the 210 freeway as well too. Highland over here. And we're in a prime little location that we're able to hopefully provide that all in one within our region. And even when I was my first year in Redlands University, I did I did my paper on bringing medical within our city, and even Esri, the GIS system, even confirms that there's a lack of a lot of resources within our city. The hot pockets, the hot zones are so far away that our residents are in need of that, all the way down to the Banning area, the Morongo area, all that region. I think the other hospitals over there by Palm Springs.
Right. Yeah, it's in Palm Springs. That's right.
And the other trauma hospital that we have is the one in Moreno Valley, which is the Riverside Regional Center. And it's one of those things that each hospital, they're specialized for certain things. And for us, we're in the prime location that we're able to do a triage, a designated zone hospital that are able to do any type of surgeries, down to like almost a children's hospital too. Instead of them driving down to Orange County or Los Angeles, they're able to come here and provide those support and services. And like going back, that will bring good careers, entry level positions that those people are able to move up the ladder, go back to school, provide those services to see the potential and the long go ahead of it as well too. And for me, that's what the education is very important, and hopefully providing those facilities connecting to universities to provide them with discounts to continue with their education, by bringing in all the parties involved, all the positive things that can come as a community within the workforce. A lot of the things that people don't realize is that in a medical facility, you're talking about custodial, you're talking about maidens and operations, you're talking about the gardeners, all the way down to the professional level, from the nurses to the doctors to leadership, and they're so spread out with so many departments that they're even able to provide, hopefully childcare as well too. It's just kind of building that roadmap.
Right. Right. So you've earned leadership credentials and spent years leading teams, and you mentioned this earlier as well, but you've also said that leadership isn't about titles. So what is leadership in your view?
Leadership in my view is you have to understand your team. You need to listen what your team needs. You need to listen. It's all about listening, and I told you this before, anybody can be a boss, and there are good bosses and there are bad bosses. And there's only a few leaders out there that are able to lead a team by listening, by providing them what they need to be successful, down to, bringing in the structure, the management behind it, and working all those working components into one to make your team successful, because you cannot be successful without your team. And
amen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I've seen it, and I know you've seen it too. Well, and and everyone reports to somebody one way or another. Even if they say they don't, somebody reports to somebody, and the good people, the good workers, they'll differentiate a boss and a leader, and they will literally say, "Oh, okay, well, you're just a boss, you're just telling me what to do. All right." But as a leader, you're motivating the team, you're motivating the culture, you're bringing in the positive culture within the department and then if it's more of the leadership that you have, what we have, you're bringing in that positive culture within the whole organization, and sometimes people don't like change, but when there's a good leader, they will sense it and they'll know, oh, we finally got a good leader here working, and they know very well that we have their backs 100%, and we'll bring in those resources that we need, and you'll see the big difference,
right?
And compared to somebody who's walking in there, they can destroy teams, they can ruin a department, they can ruin a whole city, they can ruin state government, anything. And at the end of the day, it's just the person, the team is the one that does all the hard work.
Right.
And and I even tell you guys, like, don't call me council member, just call me Edgar.
Well, I think that, you talk about that with, a good leader can bring about change. And I think that change can't be brought about without trust. So you have to establish that trust first, because when you go into the unknown, you have to know that somebody has your back. And so if you don't establish that trust first, some people want to come in and just change a bunch of things right away. And you don't establish trust on day one, you earn it, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're going to be unsuccessful if you try to put change before trust. Trust has to come first. Right?
Correct. Yeah, because your good working team leaders, or the ones that are holding the department up, you got to build the trust, because if you break that trust, the whole department falls apart.
Right.
And now you just have to build the trust, but it's actually harder to rebuild a trust that you already lost.
Right.
And I seen it. I seen it so many times that once you break that trust, it's hard to get it back, or you just never get it back.
Right.
And that's why, it's very important to be transparent, be straightforward. At the end of the day, they'll know that you come from a good place.
Right. So serving on city council involves listening to many different perspectives. How do you approach situations where people strongly disagree?
Going back to just listening and understanding where they come from, because everybody, have a different perspective on what they see certain things. For me, from my experience, is listening and kind of giving them the information of the process, and never make any promises. Because what if you're wrong and you promise something that said it was going to happen, and it doesn't come through. So it's just being very transparent. Like, I understand where you come from, but I just want to inform you, or however, these are the steps, and I understand that you want this to happen, but there's a whole process behind it that we have to pass, and from just certain levels, because we have to clear it, and then we have to move forward to the next ones. Same thing at work too. People, families say, well, why do I get all these threatening letters? And I say, we are required by the state of law of California to send these educational letters that I know they feel, they sound that they're threats, but they're not. We are required to send these letters out.
Right.
And I was the one that built the letters, and I tell them that I was the one that built the letters. They were actually worse before when I came in.
We softened it, right?
I softened it, yeah. It's like I rearranged them. I actually had my some of my colleagues. I went around different sites to let them know, like, hey, should we change anything? Should we make it? Because my perspective might be different than somebody else,
right?
And that's how these letters got softened. And there's just the state law ones that we can't change. We're required by state law to put these education codes there. And I tell parents, they call upset, but I tell them, like, we're required by state law to put these. Like, I apologize that you're taking it that way, but we need to inform the parents. And it's not only yourself. I'm getting them too, and I'm an employee.
Right. Yeah, I'm not above the law, right?
I'm just like everybody else.
Yep. Yeah. And sometimes in public service, that's what you have to say. It's like, yes, hey, I'm subject to these same rules too. It's like, I don't write the rules. I just enforce them. Yes. Right. So I guess that kind of plays into this next question. What do you hope residents better understand about how their city works and the role they play in shaping it?
One of the biggest things is that the residents, actually, their voice matters a lot. Their voice matters a lot. And when they don't show up to our city council meetings, it can affect in so many different ways. And one of the things is, it's just going back to the policies and procedures that we have in place. When things come up, and they're not showing up, I understand from other council members the reason why they select certain things. Like for myself, I can speak for myself. I make decisions based on the residents because I understand that sometimes they cannot make it here. So their voice is my voice. Mm-hmm. So I have to speak in behalf of them. Because even for myself, with everything happening in my life, I would have not been attending the council meetings, and right. So you want somebody out there that will be advocating for the community, and just asking the right questions, asking the right questions to staff, to UL, and then once those questions are being answered, and you're very thorough. So thank you all for that, of the procedures and why certain things happen. And then once, and as for me, as a council member now, I have a bigger understanding of why certain things happen. And then me going back, hey, this is the reason why, to our residents.
Right.
And a lot of residents, like including myself, I'm not going to say I never thought that way, but even myself, like, why is this happening? Like, can't they just say no? Like, they can't, like, why? But just understanding that, the owners of the land, they have rights as well too.
Right.
And it's even hard for the staff too, when certain things like that pop up on the agenda. And then that's the things that those very difficult projects that are coming into the city. That's when you start seeing people coming in, but they don't understand that certain things already got approved, and we're already in the next meetings for the next approvals.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I want the residents to know, that, you know, we might be busy, but this is our city. We need to know what's going on, and if there's anything that you don't agree, you know, your voice matters a lot.
Right.
And, you know, like, I have advocated all the way down to, like, you know, well, you know, hey, I can't vote for that. I'm so close to my area, and it makes it very difficult for me.
Right. I mean, and for most people, you know, and we've had that conversation, and but for most people, it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Because you think, okay, I want the person that maybe has a stake in it, but actually, because of fairness and due process and fairness to all parties, you need someone that's going to be more neutral. And the law basically says, well, it's hard for you to be neutral because it does impact you so much, and so that's why they made the rules the way they made them. You know, so yeah.
And it's actually, and it's very difficult when you're going through those.
Absolutely.
You're like, well, I didn't realize I was that close.
Yeah.
You know, I have all the residents, the community reaching out, and they're telling me, you know, and I'm advocating, and then it's very difficult when you're not able to, you know, be in those certain meetings because of interest, conflict. And then, so yeah, it's a learning experience, a lot of learning the ins and out of how that works.
Yeah, well, I mean, if people, you know, the people that are listening to this podcast, subscribe if you haven't already. They know a lot of these things because I talk about them on this podcast, right? So to close things out, I want to bring it back to family. And when you think about your kids growing up here, and especially your son with Down syndrome, what kind of Calimesa do you hope they inherit?
Well, first thing first, because, you know, this is gonna stay for the rest of the life here. I want to say, for my son Luke, I love you. He did a lot. Me and him, we went door by door getting signatures, so that means a lot. You know, he's just a kid, but once he's an adult, you know, hopefully he comes back and look at this broadcast. You and I will.
I hope he looks at the council meeting he came to also.
Yes. And for my
did a great job. He did
yes.
a wonderful job.
Yes, it's you know, at that age, they don't they're like, why? You know, like, I want to, you know, be here playing games. but you're building them up for a long term. You know, like, I want them to become good leaders, you know, because we're not going to be here forever. We want whoever replaces us to do better than how we left it. So thank you, Luke. I love you. And my Eli boy, I love you too, son. You're looking at this video and broadcast that, you know, all the hard work that we're putting in. You're going to be looking back, and I know you're going to be great. And for my daughter, Luciana, you know, thank you as well too. You know, you're going to be a great leader. I can tell you that. And my wife too, for supporting me on this very long journey, difficult ones too, and to balance everything as well too. Without her, I won't be successful. You know, and we push ourselves to the limits to become better for one another, better than how we were before. So yeah, so by closing it, you know, I want to leave Calimesa a better place than how it is now. You know, you guys are doing an amazing job. You know,
thank you.
And as we grow, I see the city, you know, the team's getting bigger, providing more services to our residents. And I'm still looking, once the developers come in, hopefully we get a brand new city hall to expand our team even bigger.
Right. And
having more parks and medical facilities here, good paying jobs that will make careers out of those positions, and not just be there working 40, 60 hours a week and just minimum wage, because minimum wage now is like $20 an hour, and that we cannot survive in $20 an hour. So And parks, I'm looking for soccer fields. We don't have any soccer fields. We got baseball fields, and I know we got the tennis ones.
You're right, the pickleball courts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm looking for those soccer fields to come along with our community because, kids have to be active. They have to be doing something. And in community, in sports, that's the only way that the kids will learn structure and to be successful in school and their lives, and continue with the family-oriented community that we have here in Calimesa by bringing in good-paying jobs and keeping our charm within our city of Calimesa beautiful and still having that view that no one will take away from us.
Right.
Those hills, you just can't. We can't take that away from anyone else. Any other cities, they don't have that no more.
Right.
They're surrounded by so many other things. But yeah, that's where I see Calimesa for our kids a better place how we left it, and our future council members as well too. I'm hoping we get younger council members as well too. They need to take the lead to make change not only at the city level but Congress, state level. We need young leadership now to kind of make things happen. They're bright. These kids are bright. I'm like surprised. We just did a competition by studying things. I'm looking at these fifth graders. I'm like, I was not doing that in fifth grade.
Yeah.
And they're talking about this. What?
Yeah. It's amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm like, wow, I was not doing none of that. So I'm looking at these bright leaders. I'm like, yeah, take it, run for it. We need fresh minds, great new ideas, challenge the team, because at the end of the day, if we don't get challenged, we will never grow.
Right.
We can, the best way to learn is by making mistakes. But making those mistakes is how are we going to not make those mistakes again and make them better.
Right.
And just great leadership as well too. It takes the village to be successful and to move the community forward.
Right. Well, Edgar, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and your perspective. Appreciate it.
Well.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Calimesa Insider podcast. If you found this conversation helpful, be sure to subscribe, share it with your neighbors, and follow us on at Calimesa Insider on Instagram and TikTok. For all links related to the podcast, you can just visit calimesa.gov/podcast. As always, stay engaged and stay informed. We'll see you next time.